The film begins at the elite school, where Ivy and Sylvie have just been caught. Ivy for slipping in biology subject, and Sylvie for making a threat over the phone in a television studio. In a program that he hosted, Sylvie's father said that teens must obtain their driver's licenses at age 21 since their hormones are too imbalanced. She chose to do the threat since she didn't like it. Ivy wholeheartedly supports her decision. Sylvie's father, Darryl, chastises her for what she did. She apologizes after realizing that her action cost her father almost lose his job. Ivy approaches and asks for a ride because the punishment made her miss the bus. But Darryl refuses. Sylvie convinces her father to take her and she sits next to Darryl. The next day, Ivy walks Sylvie home. Sylvie tells to her that Darryl is her stepfather. They arrive at Sylvie's luxurious mansion, where she lived with Darryl and her emphysema-stricken mother. Sylvie invites her to come over. Ivy meets Sylvie's mother, Georgie, inside. Georgie doesn't like Ivy. She feels sorry for Ivy after learning that she was the recipient of the special scholarship because she is an orphan. Her mother passed away while she was in her 40s, same age like Georgie now. Ivy moves in to live with Sylvie after a few weeks. One day, Darryl peeks Ivy from a window. He decides to approaches her and talks to her. Unintentionally, he plunges her boots into the pond. Darlie gives her the money to replace it and asks her to keep change. The phone rings just as Ivy is about to leave. Jim, the caller, asked her if Sylvie is available on the 16th. She looks to the calendar and Darryl's party is on 16th. However, Ivy says that Sylvie is free. Sylvie wants to do something that will make her parents cringe since she doesn't want to go to school. Ivy then brings her to get the small tattoo. She doesn't want to do it though, because she believes tattoos are only for low-class people. Ivy is furious by her idea. Ivy expresses regret and requests her to pay for the tattoo because she can't afford it. When they return home, they find Georgie standing on the balcony railing. They immediately bring her back to her room. Ivy runs into Darryl as she goes to her room. She teases him and kisses his wounded hand, then leaves. Jim shows up on the 16th to pick up Sylvie. Sylvie doesn't understand what's happening. They're informed by Ivy that she must have mixed up the days. Darlie comes and says that he needs her daughter's help. To make amends, Ivy proposes that Sylvie go with Jim and she will help with her father's party. Ivy looks stunning at the party in a beautiful red dress, leaving Darryl awestruck. Darlie finds Ivy dancing sensually after the party is ended. He decides to dance with her. Georgie suddenly turns on the lights and discovers them. She breaks down and cries. In her bed, Darlie soothes her anxiety. Ivy comes and brings a drink. Ivy expresses regret for the situation, as well as for wearing her dress without permission. She is unconscious and drops her glass after Georgie drinks. After realizing this, Darlie begins to touch her and please her next to her unconscious wife. Darlie goes to pick up Sylvie after work. Sylvie, however, skipped class and he meets Ivy. He then offers to drive her home. Ivy reminds Darryl about last night in the car. She instructs him to stop the car and to do it again. They pull over in the middle of the woods. In the pouring rain, they making love. The next morning, Georgie standing again on the balcony railing. Ivy enters and asks if she has ever considered jumping. Georgie replies sometimes. She then pushes her. No one suspect Ivy since Georgie always thinking about do it. At night after the funeral, Sylvie learns that Ivy is sleeping in her mother's bedroom. She explains that Sylvie needs some alone time after what happened, so she is sleeping in her mother's bedroom. She asks Sylvie to lie down with her and to tell her all she wanted to tell to her mother, assuming Ivy is Georgie. Meanwhile, Darryl learns that he has been fired from television. Ivy is humming a tune as they are driving. Upon hearing, Sylvie realizes that is the song that she wrote to her mother and recorded by her father. It was played on the day of Georgie's accident. Sylvie, who now understands that Ivy was in her mother room prior to the accident, asks why she is there. Sylvie crashes into a tree at this point after losing control. Sylvie, who is unconscious, is moved to the driver's seat and left there. Darlie visits Sylvie at the hospital. She tries to convince her father that Sylvie is driving the car and also killed her mother. Darlie, though, tells her to quit lying and leaves her. At night, she runs away from the hospital and rushes home. Together with her mother Ash, she discovers her dog chained outside in the pouring rain. She walks inside and sees her father and Ivy making love. Darryl chases after her as she flees but trips and falls. Darlie realizes Ivy was driving the car and that Sylvie was speaking the truth when she discovers a mark on her chest. Sylvie justifies her actions by claiming that his daughter forced her to drive the car. Ivy goes to Georgie's room while Darlie keeps looking for Sylvie. She changes her dress and then, standing on the balcony railing, pretends to be Georgie. Sylvie sneaks in and pushes her, just like she did to her mother.